The year is 2287, and humanity has long been an afterthought in the vast cosmos. In the galaxy's sprawling corridors of power, Earth and its inhabitants are considered little more than primitive upstarts. A young, unpolished species with barely a fraction of the technological sophistication possessed by the more advanced galactic civilizations. The Council of Galactic Species, an elite collective of alien nations, has existed for millennia, managing trade routes, setting galactic policies, and deciding the fate of entire star systems. For the most part, Earth is irrelevant to their deliberations. However, that was before the breakthrough. Hidden within a top-secret government facility, a group of scientists, some disillusioned by the bureaucracy and lack of progress, had been working tirelessly to unlock the mysteries of antimatter. At first, their work seemed like an impossibly distant dream, a futile attempt to tap into energy that existed only in the theoretical realm. But over years of setbacks, recalculations, and near failures, they had succeeded. The antimatter reaction, once a concept feared by even the most brilliant minds, was now something that could be harnessed. The energy output was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A single gram of antimatter contained more energy than the combined resources of Earth's fossil fuels, nuclear reactors, and fusion plants. But what was even more astounding was the discovery of the ability to control it. When the news finally leaked, it was like a silent storm in space. The human government, initially hesitant, quickly realized the magnitude of the discovery. A new age was beginning, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. And, as anticipated, that storm caught the attention of galactic leaders. The first alien ambassadors to arrive on Earth were representatives of the Kalan, an ancient species known for their mastery of gravitational technology. Their long silver ships, sleek and glistening, docked in orbit, their communication systems transmitting a message. We seek to witness humanity's claims for ourselves. Their arrival was met with a mix of awe and trepidation. The media buzzed with speculation. Were the Kalan here to observe, to warn, or to claim the technology for themselves? Regardless of their intent, the mere presence of such a powerful species on Earth was enough to send ripples across the world. At first, the Kalan ambassadors were skeptical. They greeted Earth's leaders with condescending smiles, their elongated forms towering over humans as they discussed the flawed nature of antimatter research. "This is mere fantasy," one of them sneered. "You've not even learned how to handle your own basic energy systems. How do you expect to control something as volatile as antimatter?" But the human scientists, undeterred, had prepared for this moment. With their own antimatter containment chamber as proof, they demonstrated how the reaction could be sustained and controlled. How, with their new drive, a ship could be powered indefinitely, and space travel could become not just a dream, but a reality that would reshape the stars themselves. The Kalan ambassadors, stunned but still unconvinced, challenged humanity. "Prove it to us. Build a ship. Show us that this technology of yours can actually do what you claim. We'll be watching." As the alien delegation left Earth's atmosphere, they left behind more questions than answers. For the first time in history, the galaxy's most advanced civilizations were watching the young species of humanity with a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. But while the galaxy's powers exchanged worried whispers and recalculated their next moves, humanity was already well on its way. As the first human ships, powered by antimatter, were being constructed, the people of Earth were unknowingly stepping into a much larger game, a game that would test not only their technological prowess, but their very survival. The quiet revolution had begun, but it would not stay quiet for long. Humanity's next move was both bold and calculated. Despite the skepticism surrounding their antimatter technology, Earth's brightest minds were determined to prove their discoveries were no mere fluke. As the first working antimatter-powered spaceship took shape in the largest human spaceport on Earth, excitement buzzed through every corner of the planet. It wasn't just a technological marvel. It was the embodiment of a dream that humans had carried for centuries. the ability to explore the stars. The ship, Pioneer, stood tall against the endless stretch of space. Its gleaming surface shimmered with the faint glow of the antimatter drive contained within its core. For the first time in history, humanity was no longer limited to the confines of its home planet. The entire universe seemed within reach. While work on the Pioneer continued, news of humanity's impending breakthrough spread quickly through galactic channels. The Kylan's previous visit had already piqued the curiosity of the larger galactic community. But now, as humanity prepared to launch the first antimatter-powered spacecraft, the entire galaxy watched with bated breath. Would humans live up to their claims? Or would their dream fall apart in the face of such overwhelming opposition? As the countdown began, Earth's leaders, scientists, and engineers gathered to witness the momentous event. Tension hung in the air like an electric charge, knowing full well that this moment would change everything. The Pioneer launched from Earth, its engines lighting up the sky with an intense blue flame. It didn't just break the bounds of Earth's atmosphere, it shattered the boundaries of what anyone had thought possible. The ship accelerated faster than any human spacecraft had ever before, quickly disappearing from view as it headed toward the farthest reaches of known space. The launch was met with widespread awe across Earth. However, among the galactic powers, the reactions were much more mixed. The Kylan were the first to respond, sending a message to Earth's government. "We were wrong to doubt your capabilities," they admitted. "But this technology still requires further scrutiny. If this is truly the future of space travel, we must have a seat at the table." The message was clear. The Kylan no longer viewed humanity as a mere curiosity. They had seen the potential in what humans had created, but their tone was filled with caution. They didn't want to risk losing their advantage over the galaxy's stars. Humanity's discovery had to be understood and contained, if not controlled. Within the next few days, a flurry of diplomatic communications flooded Earth's capital. The galactic powers were stirring, some offering collaboration, others proposing restrictive treaties, while a few threatened outright sabotage. The fear of losing their status as the dominant civilizations was palpable. As the Kylan had so delicately put it, the future of the galaxy was now in flux. No one could be certain of how things would unfold. Meanwhile, the Pioneer continued its journey, heading toward the distant star system known as Proxima Centauri. The journey, which would have taken decades using conventional human propulsion, was completed in mere days, thanks to the new antimatter drive. The success of this mission didn't just prove the validity of the antimatter technology. It proved humanity's ability to reshape the very nature of space travel. When the Pioneer finally returned to Earth after its groundbreaking journey, the ship was met with a hero's welcome. Yet, amid the celebrations, a sobering realization set in. The galactic powers had taken notice, and they were not going to let humanity's sudden rise to power go unchallenged. Behind the public cheers and accolades, Earth's leaders began to understand the gravity of their situation. Humanity was now a player on the galactic stage, whether they were ready for it or not. The galaxy, a realm of ancient civilizations and established hierarchies, was watching their every move. As the first human representatives began preparing for their first formal meeting with the Galactic Council, the question that lingered in the air was clear. Would humanity's ambition drive them toward collaboration, or would it spark a fierce competition for control over the future of the galaxy? The stage was set. Humanity had shown they could do the impossible. Now, the galaxy had to reckon with the fact that the underdog species, once dismissed as too primitive, was capable of changing the future forever. As the Pioneer made its successful return to Earth, the celebrations were palpable. Humanity had achieved what many had thought impossible. But beyond the parades and the scientific accolades, an undercurrent of unease grew among Earth's leaders. The moment of triumph was quickly followed by a profound realization. Humanity's rise would not be met with open arms by all galactic powers. The old order, a complex web of interstellar alliances and rivalries, had begun to shift. And with that shift came dangerous new tensions. Back in the vast expanse of the galaxy, the reaction was nothing short of seismic. While some alien species, particularly those with a vested interest in innovation, began to reach out to Earth with offers of cooperation, others viewed the rise of humanity as a direct threat to their centuries-old dominance. Among them were the Tyliths, a highly advanced species known for their aggressive territorial expansion, and the Oraxians, a powerful merchant empire that had ruled the galaxy's trade routes for millennia. The first signs of this growing hostility were subtle but unmistakable. Trade negotiations that had once been smooth were suddenly filled with resistance. Previously cordial ambassadors began using more cautious and combative language. The Kylan, who had once been humanity's strongest allies, had begun to adopt a more neutral stance. Although they publicly acknowledged the brilliance of humanity's technological achievement, their underlying tone suggested they were reevaluating the potential risks. The cold truth was clear to them. Humanity was no longer the underdog, and that made them dangerous. In the midst of this diplomatic tension, humanity's own leaders found themselves in an increasingly precarious position. President Nadia Malenko, the architect of humanity's rise, convened a special summit with representatives from Earth's scientific, military, and political sectors. As the conference unfolded, it was clear that Earth's newfound place in the galaxy was both a gift and a curse. "We've achieved the impossible," President Malenko said, her voice steady, though her eyes betrayed a flicker of uncertainty. "But the galaxy has its own way of doing things. It will not be kind to an upstart species like us. We must prepare ourselves, not just for cooperation, but for the inevitable opposition." A general in the room, General Liam Rivers, an experienced leader of Earth's Space Defense Command, was quick to agree. "The Kylan might be cautious, but the Tyliths won't waste any time trying to take what we've built. And if the Oraxians sense an opportunity to control our antimatter technology, they will stop at nothing to claim it." In response to the growing threat, Earth's military began to adapt. The antimatter technology, which had originally been developed for peaceful exploration, was quickly re-engineered for defensive purposes. The first human-built antimatter warships were under construction. Sleek, heavily armed vessels that could outmaneuver anything the galactic powers had ever seen. These ships, while still in their infancy, were a testament to humanity's ability to innovate under pressure. But military might was not the only avenue being pursued. As Earth's leaders worked to solidify their defenses, a diplomatic team was dispatched to the Galactic Council, hoping to carve out a place for humanity at the table. They were determined to emphasize that Earth's goals were not those of conquest, but of peaceful exploration and cooperation. Humanity would not be a threat to the galaxy, it would be a partner. However, their efforts were met with skepticism. The Galactic Council, made up of representatives from over 50 species, had ruled the galaxy for centuries with strict protocols and power structures in place. The idea of humanity, an upstart species, suddenly demanding a seat among the stars was anathema to many. In the council chamber, the alien representatives, many of whom had ruled over star systems for millennia, were reluctant to share their power. The Tyliths, known for their militaristic ways, made no secret of their disdain for humanity. "We will not allow the galaxy to be ruled by a species that hasn't even mastered interstellar governance," one Tylith ambassador spat, his voice dripping with contempt. The Oraxians, meanwhile, voiced their own concerns, less about power and more about profit. "This antimatter technology could change the very fabric of our economy. Who will control its distribution? Who will set the prices? We need assurances," demanded an Oraxian representative. Amidst the murmurs of distrust, President Malenko remained calm. "We do not seek to dominate," she said, her voice unwavering. "But we do ask for respect and recognition of our achievements. Humanity wants to contribute to the greater good. We ask only for the opportunity to prove ourselves." But as the meeting continued, it became painfully clear that while some species were willing to engage, many others saw humanity's rise as an existential threat. The galaxy was not ready to embrace a new power, and it was doubtful they ever would be. Outside the council chamber, behind closed doors, discussions turned into secret alliances and covert operations. The Tyleths and Araxians, sensing the potential danger humanity posed to their centuries-old power structures, began planning a more aggressive approach. And as these dark plans took shape, humanity's place in the galaxy grew ever more uncertain. The tension in the galaxy had escalated to a boiling point. It was no longer a matter of if the galactic powers would strike back against humanity's meteoric rise, but when. The Kylan, though still cautious, began to move more subtly, aligning themselves with other species to form an unofficial bloc of opposition. The Tyleths, growing bolder by the day, had sent their warships to patrol borders near Earth's space, and whispers of secret alliances between the Araxians and Tyleths spread like wildfire. Humanity, caught between these forces, was forced to make a choice. Would Earth submit to the will of the ancient powers, or would it take a stand and defend its place among the stars? President Nadia Malenko had made it clear, humanity would not back down. The new Antimatter ships, though in their infancy, were ready. Humanity would not only defend its right to explore the stars, but also assert its place as a legitimate force in the galaxy. Then, in an unexpected move, the Tyleths declared war. It began with a covert strike. One of humanity's most advanced research outposts on the far edge of Earth's influence was attacked by Tyleth forces, who deployed sophisticated weaponry to destroy the station and cripple Earth's ability to monitor distant systems. It was a clear message. The galaxy's established powers would not allow humanity to grow unchecked. The attack was not just a physical assault, it was a warning. Immediately, Earth's Defense Command began mobilizing. The Defiant, the first full-scale antimatter warship ever created, was prepared for deployment. It was humanity's first major response to the Tyleth aggression, a sleek, formidable vessel designed to outmaneuver any force sent against it. The ship was not just a symbol of technological power, but a symbol of humanity's resolve. What no one expected, however, was the way humanity would strike back. The Defiant and its fleet were not only faster and more agile than the Tyleth ships, they were far more innovative. The human ships used their superior antimatter drives to execute lightning-fast hit-and-run tactics, striking quickly before the enemy could react. The Tyleths, relying on their larger, slower warships, found themselves caught in a cat-and-mouse game they had never experienced before. The first major confrontation came in the asteroid field near the Orc cloud, a strategic location where the Tyleth fleet had assembled to ambush the human ships. The Tyleths expected an easy victory. They were a proud species, known for their centuries of military domination. But the humans had something the Tyleths had underestimated: resourcefulness. With lightning speed, the Defiant and its accompanying fleet engaged the Tyleth forces. Despite being outnumbered, the human ships used the asteroid field to their advantage, darting in and out of the shadows of the rocks, striking key targets with precision and disappearing before the Tyleths could respond. The battle was fierce, but the Tyleth fleet was disoriented and overwhelmed by the unexpected tactics. Then came the unexpected turn of events. In the midst of the chaos, a surprise weapon was deployed, a new antimatter-based missile developed in secrecy by Earth's scientists. It was an untested technology, a gamble, but it worked beyond anyone's expectations. The missile struck the heart of the Tyleth fleet's command ship, destabilizing its antimatter core and sending a shockwave through the entire fleet. The Tyleths, disoriented and crippled by the loss of their flagship, began to retreat. The remaining forces were in disarray, unable to recover from the devastating blow. Humanity's fleet, though battered, had emerged victorious. The first major battle between the Old Guard and humanity had ended with an unexpected and resounding success. News of the victory spread quickly throughout the galaxy, and the reactions were mixed. The Kylan, though still wary, began to reconsider their stance. Some species, especially those who had long been oppressed by the Tyleths, saw humanity's victory as a beacon of hope. If humans could stand up to the might of the Tyliths, perhaps there was a chance for a new balance in the galaxy, one that didn't rely on the dominance of a few powerful species. But not everyone was pleased. The Orcs, who had long controlled trade routes and amassed their wealth, saw humanity's victory as a direct threat to their economic hegemony. Their interests in antimatter technology, which they had previously dismissed as too volatile, now seemed like a potential avenue for power. They began to quietly build their own fleet, preparing for a conflict that could threaten everything humanity had gained. Earth's leaders, while celebrating their victory, understood the precariousness of the situation. The victory against the Tyliths was a testament to humanity's ingenuity, but it also painted a target on Earth's back. The galactic powers would not tolerate this challenge to their authority for long. Now, more than ever, humanity would need to be both clever and prepared. As President Malenko addressed the United Nations in a speech shortly after the battle, she knew the road ahead would be fraught with peril. We have shown the galaxy that humanity is not just a spark in the dark. We are a force to be reckoned with. But we must remember that our victory, while sweet, is only the beginning. The galaxy is watching, and our next moves will define the future. The battle was over, but the war for humanity's place among the stars had only just begun. The victory against the Tyliths was nothing short of miraculous. Humanity's resourcefulness had won them a place of respect among the galaxy's most powerful species, but it had also made Earth a target. As the dust settled from the battle near the Oort cloud, Earth's leaders realized that their moment of triumph had set off a chain of events that would echo through the galaxy for years to come. President Nadia Malenko stood at the podium in the United Nations Hall, addressing an anxious crowd of Earth's most powerful diplomats, military leaders, and scientists. The battle had proven humanity's strength, but it had also placed the entire planet in jeopardy. The Tyliths, bruised but not broken, were already regrouping. The Orcs, ever watchful of their economic interests, were making their own preparations. "We have achieved something extraordinary," Malenko began, her voice steady, but filled with the weight of what had transpired. "We have shown the galaxy that humanity will not be subjugated, that we will stand firm in the face of opposition. But with this victory comes great responsibility and even greater risk. The powers of the galaxy are no longer content to simply observe us. They will come for what we have." As the diplomatic representatives listened in rapt attention, the reality of humanity's situation became clear. The Defiant's success had shifted the balance of power in ways no one had anticipated. What had been an isolated, distant race suddenly had the means to challenge entire empires. And though many species now viewed humanity with respect, others saw them as a growing threat, a species that could topple their carefully constructed systems of power. Malenko's words were echoed by General Liam Rivers, who had been part of the military response during the Tylith encounter. "We cannot afford to underestimate our enemies. The Tyliths will regroup, and the Orcs will likely take a more aggressive stance in the coming months. We have the technology, but we must bolster our defenses and prepare for a new kind of war." The situation was growing more complicated by the hour. Earth's military, though stronger than ever, was still no match for the full might of the galaxy's most ancient civilizations. The Tyliths, with their superior technology and immense resources, could rebuild their fleet. The Orcs, focused on their vast trade networks, had the financial power to fund a massive fleet of their own, should they choose to do so. But it wasn't just military threats that weighed heavily on President Malenko's mind. The diplomatic fallout was just as troubling. Earth had expected to be received with open arms, especially by species that had long struggled under the weight of galactic hegemony. However, the reality was far different. Despite their victory, Earth's rise was viewed as a disturbance, an unpredictable element in an otherwise stable system. Most civilizations had no desire to see a new player on the board, especially one that wasn't bound by the same traditions and alliances. In the days following the battle, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The Tyliths, their pride wounded, were demanding retribution. The Oraxians, calculating as ever, were pushing for new economic sanctions against Earth. And the Kylan, though still cautious, were now offering subtle hints of support, recognizing humanity's potential, but only if Earth was willing to negotiate terms. "I trust you understand the consequences of your actions, President Malenko," said Zeros, the lead ambassador from the Kylan. His elongated figure loomed over the table, his expression unreadable. "You have shown the galaxy that humanity can fight, but the question remains, will you be able to navigate the delicate balance of power that has kept the galaxy from tearing itself apart for millennia?" Malenko met his gaze, her resolve hardening. "Humanity will not be cowed. We seek a place among the stars, not to conquer, but to coexist. We will negotiate, but we will not be bullied into submission." Zeros nodded slowly. "We shall see." As Earth's leaders continued to meet behind closed doors, the situation outside was rapidly deteriorating. The Tyliths had already begun rebuilding their fleet, re-establishing their presence along the fringes of human space. The Oraxians, meanwhile, had started positioning trade fleets along Earth's major space routes, a quiet reminder of their economic power. The galaxy's old order was reasserting itself, and humanity, despite their victory, found themselves at the mercy of these ancient powers. Earth's next moves would be critical. Diplomatically, they had to find a way to avoid the full-scale wrath of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. Militarily, they had to prepare for the inevitable retaliation. Humanity's victory had been a lightning strike, blinding and brief, but the storm it had unleashed was just beginning. As President Malenko stood before the council, she understood the stakes were higher than ever before. "We have no choice now but to press forward," she said, her voice filled with both determination and the weight of responsibility. "We will show the galaxy that humanity's place is earned, not granted. We will defend our right to explore, to innovate, and to live among the stars." The galaxy had watched humanity's rise with fascination. Now, it would watch to see how humanity would respond when faced with its greatest challenges yet. The political landscape in the galaxy had shifted, and humanity was no longer just an observer. Earth was now at the center of an intergalactic storm. The Tyliths were rebuilding their fleet, the Oraxians were tightening their grip on trade routes, and the Kylan, though reluctant to fully engage, were watching humanity closely, uncertain of how this new species would alter the balance of power. President Nadia Malenko's position had never been more precarious. She had to navigate a galaxy full of ancient civilizations, each with its own interests, all of them more powerful and experienced than humanity. Earth's victory over the Tyliths had proven that humanity could not only defend itself, but also outthink its adversaries. However, that very triumph had made Earth a target. Every move humanity made would be watched closely, scrutinized for signs of weakness, and potentially exploited by those who sought to maintain the status quo. The diplomatic landscape was tense. Despite humanity's insistence on peaceful cooperation, the other galactic powers were less convinced. The Oraxians, in particular, had become increasingly hostile, concerned that humanity's technological advancements in antimatter could threaten their control over the galaxy's trade routes. Meanwhile, the Tyliths were quietly gathering forces, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again, eager to restore their pride after their humiliating defeat. The Kylan, though still on the fence, had begun to quietly approach Earth with offers of assistance, but their motives were unclear. As the diplomatic talks continued, General Liam Rivers pushed for more immediate action. The human military, though powerful, was still in its infancy. Earth's space fleet had been built quickly, but there was still much to be done. New weapons, better defenses, and a stronger presence in key locations were necessary. But humanity's biggest challenge wasn't just the military. It was the political maneuvering that had to take place on a galactic scale. "We can't afford to keep reacting," General Rivers said during a closed military briefing. "We need to take the initiative. The Tyliths are too proud to back down, and the Oraxians won't stop until they've snuffed out any threat to their economy. If we don't act now, we'll be at the mercy of powers that see us as nothing more than an inconvenience." River's words hung heavily in the room. The problem was clear. Humanity's victory against the Tyliths had earned them respect, but it had also made them a target. Earth had gained technological superiority, but it lacked the political influence to secure its place in the galaxy. Without allies, without the diplomatic clout to match their military might, humanity was vulnerable. Meanwhile, the Kylan's ambassador, Xiros, had reached out to Earth in private. In a discreet meeting held aboard one of Earth's orbiting stations, he spoke in a tone that was both cautious and probing. "You've made an impression, President Malenko," Xiros began, his eyes studying her carefully. "The Tyliths will not forget their loss, nor will the Oraxians tolerate your rise for long. But you may not know this, Earth. There are others who are watching, who are eager to see what you will do next." Malenko frowned, sensing the double-edged nature of the Kylan's words. "Who are you referring to, Xiros?" "The unseen," he said quietly. "A coalition of species that believes the current order must change. They are interested in your antimatter technology, in your potential to shift the balance of power. They are willing to help, if you are ready to align with them." The offer was tempting, but Malenko was cautious. Aligning with such a secretive group could bring advantages, but it could also come with dangerous consequences. Would the unseen be a reliable ally, or would their motives lead humanity into deeper conflict? "You must understand, President," Xiros continued, his voice lowering. "The galaxy does not change easily. It is a web of complex power structures. You cannot simply thrust yourself into the center of it without consequences. The unseen can provide you the support you need, but only if you agree to their terms." Malenko's mind raced. She had no illusions about the dangers of relying on anyone but Earth's own strength. But with every passing day, humanity was becoming more entwined in the galaxy's power struggles. It was clear that Earth needed allies, or they would be swallowed by the very forces they had challenged. But the Kylan's warning about the unseen rang in her ears. Trusting them could be just as dangerous as not acting at all. The galaxy was a place where allegiances shifted with the tides, and choosing the wrong side could be fatal. As the days passed, Malenko convened a secret meeting with her top advisors, including General Rivers, to discuss their options. They needed a clear strategy, a path forward that would allow them to build alliances while strengthening their defenses. Earth needed to prove that it could stand on its own, but without alienating those who might become future allies. "There's one thing we know for certain," General Rivers said, leaning forward. "We can't afford to be passive. If we don't act, the galaxy will decide our fate for us. We need to be proactive, force them to come to the table. We must ensure that humanity's place is secure, not just through our technology, but through our influence." The decision was made. Humanity would reach out to the galaxy's lesser-known factions, building alliances wherever possible, while maintaining a firm stance against the Tyliths and Oraxians. But they would also begin negotiations with the unseen, cautiously exploring the potential for cooperation, while always being aware of the risks involved. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy's leaders watched as humanity began to maneuver carefully within the web of galactic politics. Earth's rise was undeniable. The storm was gathering, and humanity had to ensure they had the strength, the strategy, and the alliances to weather it. The weeks following President Nadia Malenko's meeting with the Kylan's ambassador, Xiros, were filled with intense negotiations and uneasy alliances. Humanity, still riding the high of their victory over the Tyliths, knew that the next moves they made would either solidify their place in the galaxy or push them further into the shadows of galactic power struggles. The delicate balance between diplomacy, military might, and self-preservation was now the cornerstone of Earth's strategy. Earth's leadership was divided over the offer from the Kylan, as well as the mysterious unseen faction. Some saw it as a necessary step to gain strength in a galaxy where humanity's position was still precarious. Others, including General Liam Rivers, remained skeptical, arguing that trusting an unknown coalition like the Unseen could lead to unintended consequences, even betrayal. "I'm not saying we reject the Kylan's offer," General Rivers remarked in a private briefing. "But we can't ignore the fact that the Unseen are playing a very dangerous game. If we align with them, we risk becoming pawns in a much bigger conflict." Malenko listened intently, but she knew that Earth couldn't afford to isolate itself either. The galaxy was a living, breathing organism, a place where power, trade, and knowledge were in constant flux. Humanity had to find its footing in this dynamic world, or face extinction in the face of larger, more established civilizations. "We need to build our influence," Malenko said, her voice firm. "We have the antimatter technology. We've shown we can fight, but we must find more allies who are willing to support us in the long term. The Tyliths and Araxians are just the start. This galaxy is vast, and we must forge our place in it. Whether that means working with the Kylan, the Unseen, or others, we need to be strategic." Her words resonated with those around her. It was clear that humanity could not afford to stand idly by while galactic powers sought to crush them. It was time to act, strategically, carefully, but decisively. The first move came in the form of a formal alliance with the Kylan. Zeros, sensing humanity's desperation, had been quick to provide an offer of support. The Kylan were a powerful, though mysterious, species. While they had the advanced technology and experience to back their words, they had no real interest in controlling humanity. They were more concerned with shifting the power dynamics in their favor, subtly undermining both the Tyliths and the Araxians. By allying with the Kylan, Earth gained both a powerful military partner and an intelligence network that could help navigate the increasingly treacherous political landscape. The galaxy's attention was now fully fixed on Earth. The once humble, overlooked planet had become a pivotal player in the balance of galactic power. With the Kylan alliance solidified and negotiations with the Unseen growing more intricate, humanity stood at a crossroads. Each move they made now carried the weight of potential alliance, betrayal, and unforeseen consequences. There was no turning back. President Nadia Malenko's decision to cautiously engage with the Unseen had sparked both excitement and anxiety across Earth. While many saw it as a bold move towards reshaping the galaxy's power structure, others feared it would lead to a cataclysmic conflict with the established powers that could wipe humanity off the map. Even with the Kylan at their side, Earth was still a fledgling force, far from the might of the Tyliths or Araxians, and the Unseen were an unknown factor, cloaked in secrecy and bound by motives that were yet to be fully understood. Malenko had always trusted in humanity's ability to adapt, to innovate. But this situation was different. For the first time, they were playing in a galaxy dominated by civilizations far older and more experienced. The stakes were high, and Earth had no choice but to engage in this high-risk game of diplomacy, warfare, and subterfuge. As the next round of talks with the Unseen approached, Malenko met with General Liam Rivers and her closest advisors. The mood was somber. The Tyliths had begun moving more aggressively near the human borders, their fleets growing larger and more strategic. The Araxians had increased trade blockades, cutting off vital supplies. And the Kylan, though outwardly supportive, were continuing their own shadowy maneuvering behind closed doors. "We've extended our hand to the Unseen," Malenko said, her voice firm, but with a hint of worry. "But we have no guarantees. If they push us too far, we might be forced into a conflict we can't win." General Rivers leaned forward, his gaze unwavering. "We've shown we can fight, but the galaxy's powers have underestimated us. We need to maintain that edge. And frankly, we need to start securing more allies. If the Unseen can offer us something tangible, we should take it. But I don't trust them completely. I'd rather have our own strength as a backup." His words struck a chord with Malenko. It was clear that Earth's military capacity, while growing rapidly, still didn't compare to the full might of the galaxy's older powers. What they had, however, was an ingenuity and determination that had allowed them to surpass all expectations. But as the Tyliths and Oraxians watched them closely, Earth's growing reputation as a threat could be its downfall. Despite the growing uncertainty, Malenko knew they had no choice but to push forward. Earth's future lay in securing powerful allies, and whether through the Kalan, the Unseen, or other emerging factions, humanity needed to cement its place in the galaxy before it became a target for complete annihilation. The day of the next negotiation with the Unseen arrived, and Malenko stood before the holographic table, flanked by her most trusted diplomats. The room hummed with tension. The Unseen representative appeared, tall, veiled in shadow, their features difficult to discern, but their presence was commanding, as though they transcended time and space itself. "We've considered your proposal, President Malenko." The Unseen's voice resonated, low and deliberate. "Your advancement in antimatter technology, coupled with your military victories, shows potential, but we require something more." Malenko's eyes narrowed. "What more could you possibly want? We've given you what we can, our trust, our commitment to this cause. We need access," the Unseen representative continued, "to your research, to the core of your antimatter capabilities. Your scientists are on the brink of breaking through something far more powerful than anything currently available. We want to ensure that this new force is under our control." Malenko's pulse quickened. She had expected their demands, but hearing it out loud brought the reality of the situation into sharp focus. "You're asking us to relinquish control of the very technology that has allowed humanity to survive. And why should we trust that you'll use it wisely?" "We are not like the Tyliths or the Oraxians," the representative replied, their voice becoming colder. "We are beyond petty conflicts. We are offering you a chance to transcend these limitations, to reshape the galaxy itself. But you must trust us, as you have trusted no one else." The room fell silent. The weight of their words hung heavy. Malenko could feel the eyes of her diplomats on her, waiting for her decision. This was the moment, an opportunity to align with a powerful, secretive coalition that could change the course of history, or a step toward losing humanity's independence, the very thing that had brought them this far. After a long pause, Malenko exhaled slowly. "If humanity is to be a part of the future, we will not be subjugated. We will consider your offer, but there will be terms. We will control our destiny. If you want our assistance, it will be on equal footing, and we will not bow to anyone's demands." The Unseen remained silent for a moment, the shadows around them shifting as if they were contemplating her words. Then the representative finally spoke. "Very well, President Malenko. We will proceed, but remember, nothing in the galaxy is free. You will have your independence for now, but know this, the galaxy is changing, and you will have to choose sides when the time comes." As the communication ended, Malenko felt a heavy weight settle on her shoulders. The Unseen's offer was tempting, but it was fraught with danger. She had secured a fragile alliance, but it came at a high cost, trusting in an unknown force that could, at any time, decide they were done with Earth. The galaxy's old powers were not sitting idly by. They were watching. And Earth, though stronger than ever, was still caught in a web of intrigue, deceit, and shifting allegiances. The tides were rising, and humanity had to choose where it would stand in the coming storm.